Hey y'all, I'm Derek and welcome to the first episode of 31 Nights of Found Horror. I'm here with my friends. Pennywise is over there, and there's Jason and Freddy, and of course the cats are around somewhere, so this is going to be a lot of fun, I think. So the first movie we're looking at is a movie from a year ago. It's called Morciel. It's on a page called Dylan and Michael Productions, and this is the only thing that's on there, so I'm guessing that they just created the channel so they could put this out. So this movie is about an hour and 11 minutes long. I'm ready. I got my pail of candy, and I got my mason jar full of monster blood. Okay, let's get going. Okay. So, I'm pretty sure that this movie was made on a dime. Not even a dime. I'm pretty sure in their pockets they had 2 pennies and some lint. And they decided to make a movie. And that's fine. There's 2 guys in it. They're kids, really emo, very much outcasts. And I don't know what age they are. Are they 16, 18, 20? I don't know. They look really young. And so it starts with the 2 characters, Dylan and Michael. Dylan starts off the film. He just bought a new camera, and that starts a fight with his dad. And so he just leaves. He gets picked up by his friend Michael in his Nissan Cube. So he meets up with Michael. Michael is the charismatic outsider who can charm the life out of demons with his smile. You know what I mean? He's obviously the dominant personality in between the 2. Dylan's much more submissive. He's much more going along with the flow. And that creates the power dynamic right there. And Michael also talks a lot. I mean, literally, he talks a lot. The first thing he does is have this soliloquy about why he's afraid of the ocean, and this makes me think that they're in high school. Because everything he's talking about, it's one of those high school matters where you think you're so important and you understand everything, and it's just amazing no one understands you, etc. And Michael has the idea that they're going to break into an abandoned house and drink. Because what else do you do? So while there, Michael explains the lore of the movie. Basically, what I mean by that is the story behind the story. Why this is transpiring. So basically, the guy who owned the house killed his wife and child in order to become the left hand of the devil, who is a demon named Morciel. They name-dropped the name! They name-dropped the movie! They go all the way around the house, but there's one room that they cannot enter. It is bolted and they can't break in. Literally, they're not like... That's how they've tried to break in, and they don't break in. Okay. Literally, it's just plyboard. It's one of those really cheap doors that they have inside houses nowadays. I mean, I've got them all over my house. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. There ain't no way they can't break down that door. Anyways, they're drinking. Sometime during the night, Dylan wakes up to the sound of Michael theater puking. If you don't know what I mean, when I say theater in front of any verb, that means it's over-exaggerated. It's very for the back row. And that's exactly what he's doing. It's for the back row. So it's nice to know theater kids are still around the way I remember them. Bless it. So the next day, nothing much happens. Michael just has a lot more pompous dialogue. It really sounds like he's trying to rewrite the Bible. It's weird. The next night, however, they go back to the house for some more drinking, and they decide to go into the basement. And in the basement, they find an axe. And then they hear something upstairs, and Michael runs upstairs in front of Dylan so that, you know, they could actually do the paranormal action because somebody had to shake the chandeliers. And they go upstairs and all the cupboards are open and the chandeliers are shaking. I know why the chandeliers are shaking. Because Michael ran up there before the camera to shake them. So they decide then and there they're going to spend every night there trying to get as much footage as possible of all this paranormal activity. Okay. So they go back to the house. They start talking about a really strange smell, which is a classic sign of being possessed or haunted, and then they go to sleep. And when they wake up, Dylan hears voices downstairs. But wait! Michael's right there! Dun, dun, dun. So they decide to do what any outcast decides to do. They go to the library and try to figure out what's going on. So the next night, Michael is doing his own version of audio capture. He's literally yelling at the ghost. Let's just say he uses some lewd language trying to insult the ghost. And Dylan passes out. Most of the time, he passes out. It's very interesting that they're both supposed to be investigating, but Dylan's always asleep. Just as Michael's about to go to bed, he sees the light in the closet just turn on. And so he opens it up, and there's the axe! I'm sorry, this is just so much fun. So it's all next day, next night, next day, next night. That's just how the story is set up. So the next day, they're looking all over the footage, and Michael creates one of those jump scare memes with the footage, and they actually hear something on the audio, so that's weird. So that night, they're at the house again. Dylan once again immediately passes out, so Michael goes exploring we will go, and he sees a hand on the window. It's amazing that you never see anything happen paranormal while both of them are in the room. I appreciate what they're doing. So he runs back into the room they're sleeping in, and Dylan's not there for no reason. So Michael runs into the closet, and it's one of those folding door closets, you know, with the accordion doors, and the doors start shaking, and he's in there bawling, screaming, and I'm like, where's Dylan? Oh yeah, he's the one shaking the doors. But no, where's Dylan in the story? Never talk about where Dylan was that night. And after that night, tension starts mounting between Dylan and Michael. It's a very weird tension. Michael's starting to be quieter, and Dylan's not sure what's going on. It's really almost turning into an abusive relationship at this point, because Michael is the one with all the power. So the next night they invite a couple of girls over, as you do, and it's not so that they can make the beast with two backs, it's just so that they can scare them. I don't know why. I mean, why would you invite two girls who obviously want to be with you to this house where nobody lives, where there's plenty of room for everybody and the Holy Spirit, and all you do is scare them so that they run away? There is some queer theory behind that. So after they scare the girls away, they decide that they're going to go to sleep, but Dylan smells something burning, so he takes the camera into the living room, and he sees a doll burning in the fireplace. So the next morning, Dylan and Michael go to Michael's place, and Dylan wants Michael to see the footage from last night, and Michael is being very standoffish and very aggressive. So even at one point, he grabs Dylan's head and starts saying, "You do what I tell you to do. If I tell you to lick my boot, you do it. You got it." And this is a very uncomfortable scene, but also in the back of my brain, I couldn't help but think, theater kid, cheat to the camera, because they literally cheat to the camera. And at the end of this situation, Michael storms off, then storms back in and says, "We need money." So Dylan goes to his family's house and steals his mom's medication so that they can sell it, I guess. And then there's another awkward situation, okay? Dylan and Michael are walking down some train tracks. Michael's ahead of Dylan. Dylan's in the back recording, and he starts talking about this serial killer that was on these railroad tracks. He was called the Bunny Man. And he's just trying to get some form of reaction from Michael, because Michael hasn't said a thing since their argument earlier. And Dylan is very, and then this happened, and then this happened. Don't you think that's interesting? What do you think about that? And he's literally having to run to catch up with Michael, who's just walking ahead. And finally he gets ahead of him, and Michael's just like, blasé. And that really talked to me personally. I've been in relationships like that, you know, where I try to help the other person and it just turns into a very toxic relationship, because once you accept your role as the subservient member of the party, the dominant party has all the power, and that just really ruins you. It really does. That's another talk. So the next night at the house, Dylan and Michael are at the house. Dylan finds a panel to a room inside the wall. And inside the wall, there's a bunch of like creepy dolls and all these demonic pictures on the wall. And, you know, demonic. I mean, I'm not sure, but one of them sort of looked like the Seal of Solomon, which is not demonic. In fact, it's completely reversal of demonic. And there's a music box, and then the lights go out, and you can hear Dylan struggling with someone, and then Michael pulls him out of the wall and starts yelling at him. And that is where that scene ends. The next morning, there's a lot of tension between the two. Dylan says he's got to go to the store. He might be a while, and he goes to a house to interview a guy who knew the guy who owned the house, but not really knew the guy, and then that leads nowhere. It's an interview that goes nowhere. We learn nothing at this interview. So the next night, oh my God, found footage nightmare. Let me explain. So the camera itself is a character in most found footage films. It has to be, because it's all done by point of view. Well, when you can't really figure out how to get the story across, you might end up just going into third person omnipresent. And that's what they do here. They have establishment shots of Michael in the room that they've been sleeping in the house, walking down the steps to the living room. And this is done in third person. And there's no telling where this camera actually is. And it ends with Dylan about to hit him over the head with a baseball bat. But then, that's not even the weirdest part of the found footage nightmare. There's the point of view of Dylan, and Dylan is dragging Michael to the stairs to take him down to the basement. How many arms does this guy have? Well, then immediately they cut to Michael being tied to a post in the basement with Dylan videotaping him, and Michael wakes up and he goes, I mean, really, it's for the back row, y'all. And Dylan's asking him all these questions about what he saw that made him turn this way. What did you do? Where is she? It's very much like that. Hey, why you kill me, Joker? And so Michael mumbles his explanation, and he says he's now Morciel. And then he goes, okay, so then we're going to act out this. We're going to act this out ourselves, okay? So this is how it plays out. What you're going to do is you're going to call out my name, okay? All right, let me get into. I'm going to put my head down. You're going to call out my name, okay? I'm sorry. I made myself laugh. That was funny. That's exactly how it turns out. It's like they got that Snapchat filter on his face, the Scream meme. I tickled myself pink. Oh, I hope y'all are having as much fun as I am. Then the lights go out, and the lights come back up, and they've switched places. Dylan is tied to the post. Michael has an axe, and he takes the axe and he gets really close to Dylan, and Dylan's still filming it. Oh, and Dylan set up another camera behind them so that you can get the whole scene. Michael goes really deep, close to Dylan, and is like, let me tell you a tale of two little boys who dared break into my house. It's like he's living his Shining fantasy. It's brilliant. And he continues, and he just begins whacking at Dylan. Blood spurts up. And so we assume Dylan's dead. Then, Michael just dies. I don't know why. The camera that's behind the two is picked up, and slowly walks up the stairs, all the way through the house, all the way up to the door that we couldn't open before. And right before the camera gets to the door, the guy holding it puts it on a tripod. I kid you not. I know what it looks like when you put a camera on a tripod. I've seen it enough times. And then just this random guy, this random big bald guy, walks out from behind the camera, opens the door, and inside the door there's all those demonic paintings all over the wall again, and he's just like praying. Okay. And that's where the movie ends. Honestly, I have to give props where props are due. These two kids wanted to make a movie and they did it. Congratulations. And it was an actual movie. It had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end, and you could actually follow it. Some of the choices the characters make, I didn't really understand. I couldn't really connect with these characters, probably because I'm too old to. I'm too distant from that era. I did connect with the relationship that they had, though. The movie itself, I don't know if I'd watch it again. Maybe, probably. Honestly, it was a weird movie, but I'm not mad at it. Good job, Dylan and Michael. You made a movie. Now take everything that you've learned and do another one. And just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You guys are going to get better and better and better. Yeah, if you want to see this movie, I linked it down below. If you've already seen this movie, please leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think about it. I always love to have conversations in the comments. I respond to almost every comment I get. And yeah, that's the end for this episode of 31 Nights of Found Horror. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in, and come back tomorrow for the next episode.